chaos erupting in Dilley during protest outside of an ICE detention facility. News 4, the only station to bring it to you live as protesters clash with law enforcement, tear gas being deployed into the crowd. The heated moments coming after several Congress members went to visit that very facility. We are live from Dilley with the latest developments.
This all stems from the detainment of 5-year-old Liam Ramos in Minneapolis. Congress members inside the facility today meeting Liam and his father.
Liam Ramos should be released immediately.
The details lawmakers laid out about the conditions of the facility.
Then close call at the San Antonio International Airport. 2 planes nearly clipping on the runway. The moments that led up to that near miss.
Plus, interest rates hold steady. Why the Federal Reserve made the decision despite pressure from the president.
News 4 San Antonio at 5. We're here for you.
Breaking news tonight, a standoff between protesters and law enforcement turning physical in front of the ICE detention facility in Dilley. Much of it on camera. You can see law enforcement lined up face to face with protesters.
Then the shoving starts and things quickly get out of control. You see there are a couple of protesters on the ground swarmed by law enforcement. We've highlighted that part for you on the screen right there. It was just a couple of moments later that the tear gas was deployed. From there, people started to scatter. Both protesters and members of the media, including our own reporter and photographer, hit with the fumes of tear gas. Glad you're with us tonight. I'm Jonathan Martinez.
I'm Mandy Noel. News 4 was the only station to bring you the police confrontation and standoff with protesters live this afternoon right here on News 4 and live on news4sa.com and our YouTube channel and Facebook page. A very busy day. We're covering multiple events from San Antonio to Dilley. It started this morning when people gathered for a vigil and march to the South Texas Residential Center, just hours after members of Congress toured the facility.
And tonight we are bringing you live team coverage. News 4 San Antonio's Destiny Fuller is live outside of City Hall where congressional leaders are speaking about their visit today. But first, let's go live to Taylor Wardenby, who's been in Dilley all day where protesters gathered outside the facility and tensions quickly escalated. Taylor.
Yeah, Jonathan, Mandy, it's been a chaotic day here in Dilley. Violence erupted just after 2:30 this afternoon, and although it is calm now, it was a much different scene earlier here today. Now, demonstrators were outside the Dilley detention facility where it escalated this afternoon as law enforcement deployed tear gas grenades into the crowd, forcing demonstrators to move back. Some of the protesters were on the ground and swarmed by law enforcement. A white mist formed into the air. Demonstrators coughed and clutched their eyes and throats, some receiving medical attention as they were lying on the ground, getting water and saline poured into their eyes. We're hearing also from a law enforcement source who was at the scene and says protesters were throwing water bottles and things at them, and that the protesters were in the middle of the busy highway. Now, those here were passing out water as people tried to collect themselves from the chemical fumes that were in the air. My photographer and I were also affected. It felt as though we couldn't breathe and lots of coughing and burning in our throats and eyes. The demonstration outside the Dilley detention facility escalated this afternoon as law enforcement deployed those into the air, leading to the escalation. DPS troopers had formed a line behind yellow tape as protesters chanted and were pushed back. And that's when the tear gas was deployed, sending the scene into chaos. Now, we did speak to several people who were out here when it all broke out.
It was not tear gas. It was something very much stronger that required something very strong for the medics to put in their eyes. It was not just it was just not tear gas. It was some kind of chemical, because everybody was immediately choking and gasping for air and life.
It made me cough and start, like, my nose, everything burning.
A lot of people we've seen hit the ground, and immediately there were some medics around here.
Yeah, there was somebody pouring saline into my eyes, into people's eyes. That was really helpful. Yeah, every breath burns a little bit, but again, like, standing up for our rights here. If we don't stand up for our rights, they take them.
There are people in the detention camps that are dying. People are being taken off the streets illegally. And, like, if this was a legal process, everyone had their due process, I wouldn't care.
Earlier, protesters held a vigil just over 2 miles from the detention facility and marched their way here. More than 10 congressional leaders from both parties and others local affected officials visit the South Texas Family Residential Center today to inspect the facility and its living conditions amid growing public concern. Much of the focus today has been centered on 5-year-old Liam Ramos, the young boy whose detention has drawn national attention. Liam and his father were taken into federal custody in Minnesota while returning home from school and were transferred to the detention center right here in Dilley. The march ended up here at the facility, and it was an effort to amplify the voices of children and families being held here. Now again, a much different scene from earlier. Protesters and the DPS troopers have since cleared, and it's been a pretty quiet thus far. Reporting in Dilley, I'm Taylor Wharton-Bay. Mandy, Jonathan, back to you.
So Taylor, you and our photographer were in the immediate area. You felt the tear gas when it was deployed. How badly did it hurt? No one had to go to the hospital there or anything, but how long did it take for you to recover and start feeling back to normal?
Yeah, Mandy, I actually seen the tear gas grenade go over into the crowd, and within seconds we kind of felt the effects of it. Immediately burning in your throat, your eyes were burning. I was actually breathing into one of the scarves that I was wearing and just coughing. It lasted actually a few minutes, and it was the first time that ever happened to me, so it was pretty frightening at first.
Okay, Taylor, thanks. Now, this visit centers around the detainment of 5-year-old Liam Ramos, who was taken into custody in Minnesota and brought to the facility in Dilley along with his father. The facility is about an hour from San Antonio.
Congressman Joaquin Castro sharing this picture on social media of him visiting with Ramos and his father. Castro just spoke moments ago here in San Antonio at City Hall about his visit. In fact, this right here is going to be a live look, as we understand, and we're waiting for a live look. It was going to be a press conference called Bring Liam Home Conference. It's happening again, as mentioned, at the steps of City Hall. There you see it. It's wrapping up, as we can tell right now. Congressman Castro, along with several members of Congress, are there speaking, talking about their visit at the ICE facility in Dilley, and specifically the story of 5-year-old Liam Ramos. Several elected leaders taking the podium to speak, all with the very same message, though, that Liam needs to be released. Here's a little bit of what they had to say a bit earlier today.
I told them that we would do everything that we could to get him out of there.
That's right.
I demanded from ICE that they release him. I told them that most of America wants Liam released and that he should really be released immediately.
This is the story of Liam. The sad reality of what we found when we went to Dilley was that Liam was not the only one. You have so many mothers in this facility.
And we do have team coverage of this big developing story. Our reporter Destiny Fuller was at that press conference today. She will have much more on this angle coming up for you tonight at 6 o'clock.
Representative Tony Gonzalez, whose district includes San Antonio and Dilley, tells us he's been inside the detention facility there in Dilley many times. You're looking at video shared by the congressman from his tour of the center. He disputes claims of harsh, inhumane conditions inside.
People need to be seeing exactly what's happening, not just the spin on things. To be frank, it is better and in better condition than some of our schools here in San Antonio. And so there's a school, there's a church, there's a place for them to play soccer, a big cafeteria. It's a detention facility for people that are in our country illegally. So as nice as a detention facility can be, but it's very professionally ran.
When it comes to ongoing protests against ICE, Gonzalez tells us people have the right to peacefully protest, but he doesn't want the rioting against law enforcement officers happening here in San Antonio.
Okay, we're also tracking the latest tonight out of Minneapolis. Tonight, we know the Border Patrol agents involved in the deadly shooting of Alex Preddy are now on administrative leave. So far, the agents have not been publicly identified. The announcement coming on the same day the department distanced itself from its initial statement on that shooting. The DHS spokesperson says their initial statement was based on reports from a very chaotic scene. DHS says they will let the facts lead this investigation.
And we will be here for you covering the latest developments on the immigration crackdown. Our team coverage continues tonight on News 4 at 6 with more on today's protests in Dilley. You can also find our complete coverage on our website, news4sanantonio.com, and extended interviews on our YouTube page. Other news tonight, we're learning